Hello everyone, welcome to the Totally Well Show. I'm your host, Joyce Strong. The Totally Well Show is a place where we get curious, ask questions, and explore everything to do with health, wellness, fitness, and all the things it takes to help you live the highest quality, most fulfilling life. I'm very excited today to have Colin Cook as my guest. Thanks for coming, Colin.
Thanks so much for having me, Joyce.
You're
Appreciate
welcome. Colin is a triathlon coach, and he's been doing this for
about 10 years now.
About 10 years, yeah. And he's the owner of Peak Recovery and Health Center in Nashua, up on exit 7, 8, around that time,
right
in that area
Street.
on Amherst Street. And I'm eager to hear about the kinds of treatments that you do, but I want to get a little background first. So you grew up nearby.
I did. I'm from Pepperell.
Yep, so right next door. And where'd you go to high school?
I went to Lawrence Academy.
Oh, you did, yeah. For all
4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Correct, yeah.
And so that's here in Groton, of
It
course.
sure is.
And what did you do at Lawrence Academy?
Let's see. So I played soccer originally there, and then played football my senior year, and broke my ankle the first game of the year. So not much
Oh no!
football experience.
You didn't do hockey at
But other
Lawrence?
than, of course, no, I played hockey.
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
lacrosse.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then from Lawrence Academy, what happened? Where'd you go next?
Went on to Quinnipiac University.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been there. I did a tour with my daughter there. That's
Yeah,
about the
beautiful
extent
school,
of it. Yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
school, yeah.
And you played a little hockey there.
I did. Yeah.
And between the pipes.
Between the pipes,
Yeah.
not much game action when I was there. So
Yeah.
primarily a backup. I was a goalie, but
The
yes.
microwave?
Yeah. But it was a great experience. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. That happened with my son. Was a goalie
It's tough sometimes,
in soccer and in hockey. So yeah.
Yeah.
But still fun to be
Absolutely,
in the game.
yeah.
So then what happened? How did you go from hockey to the triathlon thing?
Well, I think I ran into a problem that I think a lot of people have that have been playing, structured sports and, had a lot of structure that way in their lives, and then you get into the real world and it's just kind of, that's the end of it, right? And so you lose a lot of that, organized things. And I was still playing, pickup hockey and men's league hockey and different things like that, but I lost a lot of kind of focus and drive because it just wasn't really there anymore. And so I resorted to drugs and alcohol.
Ah!
Yes,
Really?
I did, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was headed down the wrong path for a while, and I actually kind of turned the corner in the middle of the night partying with my friends, where I told them I was going to run the Boston Marathon that year. And so they all laughed at me, yeah, sure, Colin, sure. And, I followed
And your
through
word
on
is your
that.
bond.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I ran the marathon, the Boston Marathon that year, and then
Oh my gosh.
triathlon was kind of the next thing, and really, really fell in love with triathlon and filled that void that I was looking for and whatnot, and brought some structure back to my life. And you can be competitive for the rest of your life if you want to, because there's different age groups you're competing in and different things like that. So really, really have enjoyed being in part of triathlon.
So as a healthcare practitioner, I want to just step back and hear something that you said about the drugs and alcohol too, where you decided to go and filling a void. Is that so? You think it's loss of connection or loss of purpose, or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I was a kid, certainly wanted to play professional hockey and things, and actually technically had the opportunity to do that in Europe after I kind of decided that wasn't in my best interest, so didn't follow through on that, but. It was just, working the 9-to-5 job, and I was going to the gym sometimes, but it's like, all right, how much can you bench press? It didn't, fulfill me, whatnot, and it just wasn't all that motivating, and just lost that drive, really.
Yeah, and fortunately you found something else that now is helping so many other people.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit ignorant about triathlon because
That's
I
okay.
wasn't even sure how to pronounce it. What's a triathlon?
So a traditional triathlon would be swimming, biking, and running, and that's the order typically that most races go in. Yeah.
Swimming, biking, and running,
Yep.
that order.
Yep.
I did do the dry try at Orange Theory.
You did? All right, great, yeah.
That's about the extent of it.
Duathlons where you bike, or you run, bike, and then you run, and different
yeah.
things for people that don't like to swim. I hear that a lot, that, I don't know how to swim, so, they don't want to get into it, but.
So how long does it take?
So there's certainly different distances and things. I primarily focus on what we call long course triathlon, or the Ironmans.
Okay.
So a full Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim, a 112 mile bike ride, and then a 26.2 mile run.
Wow.
So
All at
yeah,
once? One day?
all at once.
1 year?
Yeah. No, all at once. So you have up to 17 hours to finish.
Wow.
But I just did one last month and finished in 8 hours and 17 minutes.
So where do you do these?
All over. I've done them just primarily in North America. The Ironman World Championships are in Hawaii. That's the big one that most people are most popular. It's the most popular one and the one that primarily gets on TV and things. So I've done that one 4 times, and
Wow.
I just qualified again last month. So I'll be going back in 2019, which is good.
How many have you done?
So that was number 13 that I did last month.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Do you have any records for these?
Let's see, records. Not really, I guess. I mean, I was the second non-professional at the race last month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, was up there. I was 9th overall, including the professionals. So I did beat some of the professionals and things. So it was a
Are
good
you
day.
still making new PRs?
Yeah, actually I am. I did last in the race there. I ran sub 3 hour marathon during the race there. So that was kind of been a long-term goal of mine, is to
Wow.
go sub 3. So was happy to achieve that. And yeah, I've still been getting faster.
That is really sweet.
Yeah.
So then you went from running and competing, not just running, in triathlons to coaching. How did that happen?
So it really didn't take long. So actually, after college, I ended up coaching Framingham State hockey. For a couple years, and really enjoyed coaching. And even I was working at goalie schools and things like that growing up and things.
Oh, you were doing it before, so you'd had coaching
A
experience.
little bit, yeah. More camps and things like that.
Still.
With kids, but yeah. And especially goalie is definitely very technical, right? I think there's a lot of guidance and things about technique and so forth that are required. So I always really enjoyed that piece of it, and like helping others and whatnot. So it was really my first year at triathlon. I was thought about coaching already, because it just felt like this was something that I could really latch on to, and people would be interested, and I'd really be gratifying to help people with. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So is this just learn as you go coaching? Is that how you figure that out, or do you have to?
Primarily, I'd say the most things you learn is definitely from your own experience and understanding, and trial
Having
and error.
been
a lot of
coached so
times.
much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But I do have my USA Triathlon certification, my Ironman certification. I have
So you need formal training.
You do
for all
have
these.
formal training and things.
Yeah.
Yep. But they're relatively easy to get and not all that time consuming,
Yeah.
in general. But
Is that
definitely
ongoing training?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to, every other year you have to renew, and there's certain CEUs for people who are familiar with that, that continued education that you have to do. So, yeah.
And then you, do you have anything that makes you unique or special as a coach, like something about yourself that you?
I think
Helps you stand
primarily, I really liked, that there is, triathlon, certainly it takes a lot of time, especially when you're doing the long course stuff and you have to commit, seriously to it. But I always say there's more to life than triathlon, right? So
Yeah.
one thing we haven't mentioned yet is I do have 4 kids, 5 and under.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's certainly a new element, and my training certainly changed over the past few years since
Pushing a few baby carriages in your runs, huh?
I try to do that. Yeah, absolutely. Got the the stroller behind the bike sometimes and things, and or the carriage, I should say. But it's fun, and but trying to make it fun, and even for my competitive, do have actually one professional that I coach, and some other very competitive athletes and so forth, and trying to make it as enjoyable as possible, and more than just training. And
What's your
things.
goal with that? Who do you want to coach ultimately? Or does it matter?
Doesn't really matter. I mean, people that have, I will certainly work to help them with it, but developing goals, and, doesn't matter what that goal is, as
Do you
long
do
as we can
individuals, or do you work with people in
Primarily
groups?
individuals. So
Yeah.
I do also work at the Nashville YMCA, so I teach a triathlon swim class there and a spin class there, and I work over at Hampshire Hills during the winters, where we have group rides where we bring our indoor bike trainers, and we ride for a couple hours together, and then we run on the indoor track over there.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it works out pretty well. That's
Yeah.
fun. But so that's kind of the primary, the group coaching, but it's more online, developing their training plans of all right, you're going to do this swim on Monday, this interval bike workout and things on Tuesday, or whatever it may be for that person. So
Awesome. Well, when I first met you and reached out to you, it was because I was really curious about what you're doing at Peak Recovery, and I'd heard some of these things. Can we go over some of the treatments that you, obviously doing triathlon and that grueling kind of abuse that you do to your body?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can see how the logical connection to going into recovering.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and you're definitely on the cutting edge of what's involved, because you and I have that in common, that in the pill for a nail kind of treatment is not our thing, and we're looking for more natural treatments.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you, I saw cryotherapy on Shark Tank.
Yeah, that's right.
And
I
you
did see
have
that.
one of those things.
Yes.
So you get in and you get really cold. Can you tell me about how that works? And
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that aren't familiar, so it is a chamber that you enter into when you go in up to your shoulders. So you actually come down and you're going to strip down into your underwear, and then we give you a robe to walk into the machine, and then you go in there, and it uses nitrogen to apply very, very cold air. So literally when we have it maxed out, it can get down to as cold as negative 240 degrees.
oh my gosh, and
So
things don't
it's
freeze
cold.
or shatter?
Do not freeze. No. So we only go in for a maximum of 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's short and sweet.
Yeah.
But what's actually happening to our body there is we're activating that fight or flight response, right? So we're having all the blood and everything rushing to our core to protect our major organs and whatnot, ultimately kind of putting our body into a shock, right?
Yeah.
And so that's activating some adrenaline, some endorphins, which can naturally help heal the body. And then once you get out, actually a lot of the benefits just start to reap then, because all your blood recirculates through your body over the next 4 to 5 hours, and that's really what can help reduce inflammation. But it really can help with aches and pains, recovery. Certainly if you, we have a great example of a gal that she ran an ultra marathon, so like a 100-mile running race. So she literally was on crutches the day after she was so sore. She came in and did a whole body cryotherapy treatment, and she literally 30 minutes after was walking like nothing.
Wow.
It was pretty compelling, pretty interesting.
And then when I was touring your place, you have a localized.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's that
So
work?
that's similar. We're applying the cold, and it's using nitrogen as well to generate that cold. But it allows us to apply it to specific areas. So again, as I mentioned, with the whole body, we only get in up to our shoulders, so technically we don't get any application directly to our face or our head. So we can apply it directly, so we do what we call cryofacials with those as well. Can really help with increasing collagen. If we have blemishes and different things, it can really help with our skin anywhere. But we also have people like that just broke their ankle or something like that, or have some significant swelling and so forth, and they're trying to recover from an injury. And applying the cold can definitely help reduce that inflammation and help speed up the recovery. We've actually got a young hockey player just broke his kneecap. Took a shot, and his doctors were saying that it was going to be at least 4 weeks in the cast, and he's been coming in for regular treatment. And after 2.5 weeks, he's already surpassed where they were expecting to be at 4 weeks.
With the cryotherapy.
With the cryotherapy, and then another one, the photobiomodulation.
Which is what I was going to ask you next.
next,
I need
yeah.
to practice saying that,
It's a big word. It
photobiomodulation.
took me even a little bit to get that one going, but yes.
They looked a little bit like the grow lights I have in my hydroponics, but it's not the same thing.
No, and for those that have seen or want to look or get a picture of what it looks like, it does look a lot like a tanning bed.
Yeah.
But that's where the comparisons
It's not a
end.
tanning bed.
No, definitely not. So what that does is it leverages LED light to penetrate through your skin, and can actually help. For those that are familiar with ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and the mitochondria and the energy and so forth in our cells, it can ultimately, if we have cells that are underperforming, it can kind of give them a facelift and rejuvenate them to help them perform better.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, really the possibilities of that are kind of endless, because it's getting down to the cellular level. We're seeing there's people like the U.S. Olympic track team swears by photobiomodulation, and they have a bed similar to ours that they use regularly. And actually, my first experience with it, when I was just testing out the equipment, I had pretty significant hamstring issue going on. And I went in the machine, and the next day I woke up and it was just literally gone.
Oh, wow.
So some pretty neat things that it's done. But then also, like diabetics, both type 1 and type 2 diabetics, they've seen people get completely off of insulin just from the use of the machine, or significantly reducing the amount of insulin.
So improving their, reversing the insulin resistance?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's allowing our cells and things to perform better, right? So if they're underperforming and so forth, it can allow them to get back up to speed, or hopefully in a lot of cases even better than they were before.
And so the tanning bed, it looked like a tanning bed,
Yeah,
was
right.
you take your clothes off and you get in it. But
You do.
then you had some other more localized? Or
We do, and we have this thing called a Saluma that
Okay.
that allows to do. It works in a little bit different fashion. It does some pulsing and things. A lot more. That's more for skin treatment. The photobiomodulation can help. Also does a lot of benefits for like concussions and even concussion prevention and things like that. But the Saluma really is primarily used for skin treatment and things like that. So if you have blemishes or scars and things like that, that can help to remove those or minimize them.
how would it help with concussion?
So the photobiomodulation, again, actually I'm not sure I can explain exactly what it's doing in the mind, but it's activating our energy levels to be able to treat and handle those things a lot better.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I saw the infrared sauna. I had a little bit of familiarity with that in other places, but can you explain to me what?
Sure. So I like to compare it to all the benefits of taking in the sun naturally without all the negative impacts of taking in the sun, right?
Oh, okay. I hadn't really thought about it that way. Yeah.
So a lot of people.
So it's not like a
compare it-
regular sauna. Infrared
Right.
is
So
different than
the
a.
biggest difference is there's a couple things. So as far as the temperature goes, in a traditional sauna, it's typically 180 to 200 degrees, so it's pretty warm in there.
Mm-hmm.
And with our sauna, we set it to 135 degrees.
Okay.
So it's much more comfortable when you're inside there.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is once you're in a traditional sauna, once you start to sweat, the heat can't penetrate through your skin, the moisture.
Okay.
Right? Whereas the infrared still can, so you can get a lot more benefit out of it.
So it helps with what?
So detoxifying the cells. So if you have any kind of things that need to get out of your cells and excretes, it allows them to excrete out, and then really can clean out your pores, and is certainly good for your skin and things. But yeah, that's primarily what it's doing.
Yeah, I've heard of it as a detox
Yeah.
tool. Yeah, and
Yeah.
a lot of places that do it, and like functional integrative medicine practices.
Yeah,
I've been
sure.
in.
Yeah, they're definitely getting some popularity. Yeah.
So one of the things I saw in your brochure, but also in your what do you call it? What do you call your place?
We call it the center.
The center.
Yeah.
In the center is the float pod.
Yes. The sensory deprivation tank. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what
Yeah.
you call it?
Well, yeah, it is.
I was calling it heaven.
Yeah, we refer to it as a flow pod. That's technically the brand
Yeah.
of machine we have, but it's
Yeah.
pod
So
we have. But
what
it's, yeah.
happens there?
So what that is
It's
ultimately
like a big clamshell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does, right? So it has a lid and it opens up.
Yeah.
And then you go in there and it only has about a foot of water in it, but it's
Okay.
got almost 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt in it.
Yeah.
So the water is extremely buoyant.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
for my
You can't
triathlete
sink.
And swimmers, I like to joke, man, it would be great if we could swim in there because we'd pop
No
right after
kidding.
the-
I know
the-
with
the
because
water.
you probably don't want to carry a lot of fat on you, right?
right. But what you do in there is you literally just go in there and you just float.
Yeah.
So ideally we close the lid. There is lights that you can put on in there if you want. Typically recommend people to black it out and not have any lights on in there. We can play music if you want. I like to either go with no music or put some like meditative music on and things.
Mm-hmm.
But we literally just shut ourselves off in the world for 60 minutes.
You mean you can't take your cell phone with you?
Yeah, I know, huh? Well, that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing. I mean, I'm one of the biggest culprits. I'm so busy with technology and consumed by technology, and
Yeah.
we don't just get ourselves away from those things anymore. We always have, I'm constantly checking my phone, for emails and all kinds of different things. And
So you stay in there
Yeah.
60 minutes?
60 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So
What do people say when they come out?
relief, and
Yeah.
so the Epsom salt's really good for our skin, so it certainly has and can help reduce inflammation, but it's more for our mind, right? So it can significantly reduce stress, help improve
And Epsom
sleep.
salt is magnesium?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So maybe people have heard of magnesium, foot baths and things like that. So it's basically doing it for
I
the
always
entire
tell people
body.
to take magnesium
Yeah.
because it's
Oh,
the chill pill.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of people just relieve stress, so even, from a sleep depth, people find they get into a lot deeper sleep the night after that, and even, for a couple nights after and things. People with rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia. We have a couple women that have had really bad rheumatoid arthritis and literally said that we've changed their lives. Because
bet.
and they've tried all kinds of different things and they just they haven't felt that good in years. So yeah, it's very rare we get somebody that doesn't come out with a big smile on their face. And
I think I shared with you the 5 children I gave birth to, the one where I was floating, not in that, but was a painless childbirth. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
My daughter was born in the tub with our last one, and my wife Kristen had a great experience with that as well.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how your body will open up if you just let it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do people think it's less than an hour when they get out? Do they think time flew by?
Sometimes, yeah. We definitely have. I often fall asleep in it.
That's what I would expect. Yeah.
So once you get relaxed, you do. Some people, they'll kind of tense up a little bit because they just don't trust that they're going to actually float.
They think they're going to drown. Yeah.
Right. So once they relax and they get into it, but. There's people that will do back-to-back sessions so they can stay in longer. And
really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's some people that want.
Do they come out all shrivelly like?
You can get a little shrivelly, yeah, but it's worth it. But for most people, and even 45 to 60 minutes is really an optimal time to be in there, and allows yourself to really kind of unwind and get the benefits.
Yeah, that's awesome. The compression therapy was interesting to me.
Yeah.
I know when I was in the hospital, they put, they weren't boots, but they were like bands around just my calves.
Yep.
And when it was time to check out, I wanted to take them home.
Yeah, right.
Because they were so fun to have on. So how do they work? You have different heights?
We do. So we have some unique ones that they allow. There's a lot of products out there that do just kind of up to your legs, so up to the kind of the top of the quad, if you will, where ours go all the way up past into your hips and kind of into your stomach area, so that they can get your glutes and your your butt and things like that.
So your whole butt's getting compressed?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
so,
you have a choice of how high?
So there's different options. So we do have just the leg ones that go, again, just up to the quad, or there's also hip extension, so you can do just kind of from the quad to the hip. So but the inconvenience of those is that those ones are 2 pieces, so you can only do like one at a time, right?
Oh,
so you
yeah.
can, either choose to do that area and then, switch to the legs or something if you wanted to, where ours allow it to do all at once. So that's what really appealed to me about, these.
So how does it work?
So basically you're just plugged into a little machine there and it runs, and so basically it's, it's filling up and compressing, the area that it's covering, right? And then it's releasing that to decompress, to allow to increase the circulation and so forth, and the blood flow in the areas that it's it's covered in.
So that's what it does, improve circulation?
Yep, absolutely. And then can flush out lactic acid and different things like that if you have buildup in there. So
does that promote healing?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to help you recover faster, and there's a lot of different things, but if you have issues with cramping, and areas just not getting adequate blood flow and things like that, it can help improve that as well.
With cramping, really?
Sure, sure, yeah.
So do we cover all the things in your?
I think that's pretty much it here that we have right now. Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear about your own personal experience with those therapies, how they've changed things for you, or.
Well, so it's interesting, so I just mentioned I had some good success at Ironman Louisville last month here in October.
Yeah.
When we just opened the center back in May, so I was a little bit busy, so again, I've had a lot going on in my life and things. So unfortunately, I did take a bit of a hiatus from training earlier this year because something had to give, and so my training ended up taking a hit.
With 4 kids under 5, yeah.
Exactly. So I wasn't training nearly as much as I normally do, and it wasn't in my full plans to do an Ironman at the end of the year, and I ramped up a bit quicker than I probably would have subscribed or would have been ideal, and throughout that I recovered extremely quickly. Felt great, didn't have any injuries or anything like that throughout my training, and then had my best run off the bike marathon that I've had yet in a race and things like that. So. I truly believe that it was, the use of our modalities that really helped to help speed up my recovery and help me improve.
So that's interesting, because I'm thinking it more as recovery, but you're talking about prevention as well. And
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so people can be doing this ongoing, just as part of not getting injured.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. But certainly, if you do have an injury and things, it can definitely help to increase or speed up that recovery time.
Definitely you work with athletes, but it sounds like you work with people who are in all different states of health. Is that true?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we certainly have catered, and with my background, we've got a lot of athletes and things that come through, but there's so many different people that just have, back pain, or like we said, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, and different things like that, that are just everyday people that just are living in pain, and it's sad, and it's very, very rewarding to be able to help them, and by not having to take a pill, not relying on pharmaceuticals to be able to relieve their pain, they're naturally helping to heal their bodies, reduce that inflammation ultimately, and feel a lot better.
So, well, we're getting down to the end time of the show, about 2 minutes left,
Okay.
and this is where I always ask my guests, what top 3 things does it take for you to be totally well?
Okay.
So they can be, anything, and
yeah. So I will focus on primarily. I think nutrition is got to be absolutely essential, right? We're only as good as what we're putting in and allowing our body to absorb. I could go on a long tangent here about
what do you like to eat? What's your
my wife, we cook everything from scratch. I, give
No
my
process?
wife credit. No,
Yeah.
my wife does an amazing job in the kitchen, and very, very proud of what we put in our children, and how healthy they eat and so
you
forth.
go kind of
But,
paleo route, or what
no, not necessarily.
Yeah.
But like we do a lot of bone broth and different things like that. Kimchi, probiotic foods, and
a lot of good gut
nutritious-
health,
absolutely.
and growing the microbiota.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. So I think nutrition is essential. Certainly the products we have, help to speed up recovery. But if you're not sleeping properly, you're not gonna, get to where you want to be, and you're gonna underperform in so many different levels.
I'm so happy to hear you say that, because everything I've been reading lately has been focusing on the importance of sleep.
It really, really is. So I tell anybody that comes in our center, if you're not sleeping well, you're really probably not going to get to where you want to go to.
Not lose weight, not
That's
perform.
and those stress levels all related to those kind of things, because if our body doesn't have the time to heal itself and take care of it, it's not going to so we certainly have things that can help enhance that, but you got to make sleep priority.
Yeah. So nutrition, sleep. What else?
I'm going to say follow your passion.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah.
That's I get asked a lot, how I do everything I do and how busy I am and stuff like that, and it's the reason I think I'm successful is it's passion. I love to enjoy doing what I'm doing.
Oh.
So that's definitely what I'd say is very, very important. Find what you love and you're passionate about, and good things will happen.
Feed your soul.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, how do people get in touch with you? Because I'm sure they're going to want to.
So Peak Triathlon Coaching is peaktrycoaching.com, and then Peak Recovery and Health Center is spelled out peakrecoveryandhealthcenter.com, or PRAHC.com. It's a little bit shorter, so just the first letter of each word. And then Colin at peaktrycoaching.com works. Peak Tri Coaching on all the online or the social media platforms, or Peak Recovery and Health Center.
So Instagram, Twitter,
Instagram,
Facebook.
Twitter, Facebook, exactly.
Yeah.
Those are the big 3, and YouTube as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Do you have? What do you have on YouTube? Do you have?
So we need to improve on our Peak Recovery and Health Center YouTube. We're just kind of getting that rolling, but we're going to have some neat things on there pretty soon. But certainly some videos and race reports and all kinds of different feedback and interviews with clients and things like that about how they've done to optimize their training and things like that.
And then a podcast, and then.
Yeah. I do have one of those too, so I
you
forgot
do?
about that.
Yeah. What's the podcast?
So that's actually called Age Grouper for Life, and it's geared towards non-professional triathletes primarily, and multi-sport athletes, and trying to optimize their training with very busy lifestyles. So
That's awesome.
So yeah.
I'll have to tune into that. I'm into the podcast
All
lately.
right, good,
Yeah.
good.
Well, thanks so much for coming to the Totally Well Show and teaching me about your recovery treatments, and I'll be in to see you.
Okay. Thanks so much, Joyce.
All right.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Colin.
All right.